Prosperity isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of principle. How many times have you looked at someone's life and thought they were simply born under a lucky star? That everything just seemed to flow effortlessly for them, while you had to fight with every ounce of your being for each small victory? What if I told you that what we call luck is nothing more than a reflection of spiritual principles operating silently throughout the universe? Would you believe that abundance isn't a privilege for a select few, but a law that responds to those who understand and apply it? Today, we will journey down a path rarely taught from the pulpits and almost never clearly explained in books about success. There is an ancient wisdom hidden within the pages of Proverbs that holds the spiritual keys to unlocking prosperity in every area of your life. I'm not just talking about money, but about fulfillment, peace, and that almost magnetic flow of blessings that seems to make things work in your favor. Have you ever stopped to think that you might be just one principle away from transforming your reality? While many drown in limiting beliefs, thinking that prosperity is only for those who had better opportunities or were born with a silver spoon, the Word of God shows us that there is an established order, a kind of divine code, that when followed, opens doors no one can shut. This isn't about magic formulas or empty promises, but about understanding how the spiritual world interacts with the natural one. You may have tried before, prayed, made decrees, spoken declarations, but without understanding the principles, it all seems to vanish into thin air. This is where Proverbs becomes a map. And we're not talking about an ordinary map, but a detailed guide on how to align your mind, your words, and your actions with the secrets of biblical manifestation. Because yes, the Bible speaks of manifestation, of attracting what is aligned with the divine purpose for your life. And Proverbs reveals 5 principles that not only transform your financial situation, but restructure your entire existence. These are principles that free you from a scarcity mindset, break hereditary patterns of lack, and, when lived with intention, create a magnetic field that attracts opportunities, ideas, people, and open doors. Perhaps you've heard about this superficially, but what we are about to explore here is deep, practical, and transformative. Every principle you will learn in this video has been tested, validated, and remains active for those who dare to apply it. But here's a warning. The final revelation I will share is the most powerful of all. It is the turning point, the master key that many ignore because it seems too simple to be true. But when you understand and live by this principle, prosperity ceases to be a struggle and becomes an inevitable consequence. That's why I want you to stay with me until the end, because every detail matters, every word has a purpose, and every insight could become the spark you need for your next level. If you feel tired of chasing after things and want to finally attract what is rightfully yours, I invite you to open yourself to what you are about to hear. This knowledge isn't common. It isn't sold on every corner because it confronts everything we've been taught about wealth, worthiness, and blessings. It calls you to a different posture, a mindset aligned with truth. In fact, if you seek to go even deeper and apply this practically, there is special content that can accelerate this process in your life. It's available at the link in the first pinned comment, and I'm sure it will be a powerful key for you to start this transformation right away. But first, absorb what we will share here. Allow yourself to question, reflect, and feel. Because prosperity begins exactly like this, with an awakening of consciousness. Now let's dive together into the biblical secret of prosperity revealed in Proverbs. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to discover could change not just your next few months, but the entire course of your history. Prosperity isn't a distant destination. It's a path built day by day, and Proverbs shows us that this path begins within us. Many people spend their entire lives chasing material things, trying to catch the wind, without realizing that true abundance is not born from the outside in, but from the inside out. It is a reflection of what you think, what you feel, what you declare, and above all, what you believe is possible. It's like planting a seed. If you plant fear, insecurity, and doubt, What sprouts are obstacles and limitations, but if you plant faith, wisdom, and action aligned with divine principles, what grows is an abundant harvest. Proverbs shows us that prosperity is the consequence of spiritual alignment, and the first step in that alignment is wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, says Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom isn't just knowledge. It's the ability to discern the right time, the right word, the right action. How many opportunities have you missed because you weren't prepared to recognize them? How many doors closed not because God didn't want to open them, but because your inner self wasn't structured to keep them open? Prosperity cannot be sustained by fragile structures. It demands deep roots because a blessing without preparation becomes a burden, and what comes too easily without a foundation often slips through your fingers. Another principle revealed in Proverbs is diligence. The hand of the diligent will rule, says Proverbs 12:24. And here is a secret few understand. Diligence isn't just about working hard, but about working smart, with focus and consistency. It's the opposite of the anxious rush that many mistake for effort. Diligence is like the farmer who understands that every season has its purpose, who knows when to plant, when to water, and when to harvest. Have you ever noticed how haste can kill the process? Sometimes, you're so obsessed with a quick result that you forget that true prosperity is sustainable, built in cycles, not impulsive leaps. But the Bible goes even deeper when it speaks of integrity. Proverbs 10:9 says, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely." Integrity isn't just honesty, it's being whole. It's living according to the values of the kingdom, even when no one is watching. And why does this attract prosperity? Because integrity is magnetic. It opens doors that cleverness never could. People connect with those who exude trust. Opportunities flow to those who don't need to cheat to get ahead. In the spiritual realm, integrity is a seal that authenticates your prayers and your actions. Without it, everything you build is unstable. Now, there is a point in Proverbs that often makes people uncomfortable, but it is one of the most profound secrets of manifestation: generosity. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed, says Proverbs 11:25. How can you give and yet increase? It's because generosity isn't a loss, it's a channel. Imagine a river that refuses to flow. It becomes stagnant. So is the financial and emotional life of one who hoards everything. Prosperity is not accumulative. It is circulatory. It passes through you, and as you let it flow, more space is created for new blessings to come. When you hold on too tightly, you turn off the faucet from heaven. How many times have you missed opportunities because you were afraid to release the little you had? How many times have you looked at the life of someone who gives, helps, and contributes, and wondered how that person never runs out? Herein lies the principle. And now we arrive at the principle that is perhaps the most neglected and at the same time the most powerful of all: the power of words. Proverbs 18:21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Your words are spiritual seeds, and every phrase you release carries the ability to create or destroy realities. The law of attraction speaks of this, but Proverbs revealed it thousands of years ago. What you declare, you manifest. How many times have you cursed yourself without realizing it, saying you couldn't handle it, that it was too hard, that you would never succeed? Each of those words is a key that locks doors. And when you change that, when you begin to declare life, abundance, favor, and possibilities, the spiritual atmosphere begins to shift. It's as if your words are magnets that attract what you confess. And here is the final revelation, the one I promised would be the most powerful. All of this only becomes real when you understand that prosperity isn't about accumulating, but about aligning. It's no use applying each of these principles as a magic formula and expecting immediate results. They are like gears that turn together, driven by a central force, the consciousness that you were already made to prosper. You are not begging for something that isn't yours. You are simply making space for what has already been released by God to flow freely into your life. And this is the point where many stumble. They try to manifest from a place of lack, when in reality, the secret is to manifest from a place of conviction. Prosperity, then, is not asking like a beggar. It is giving thanks as if you have already received. It is working as if you are already being rewarded. It is sowing even when there is no sign of rain, because you trust in the divine cycle. And that changes everything. It changes how you handle challenges. It changes how you see time. It changes your posture in the face of waiting. The final revelation, therefore, is not a trick. It's a change of internal state. To prosper is to live in the flow of favor, not in the anxiety of lack. And maybe you're asking, but how do I apply this practically? Start by recognizing where you have been sabotaging yourself. What words have been coming out of your mouth? What thoughts have you been repeatedly feeding? What seeds have you been planting without realizing it? The next step is to align your routine with these principles. Read Proverbs, meditate on these verses, talk to God about them. Ask, where has my diligence been a distraction? Where has my generosity been a fear of loss? Where has my integrity been traded for convenience? These questions create space for light to enter and transform. And as you walk through this process, remember, there are tools that can accelerate this journey. In the first pinned comment of this video, there is content that can help you structure your mind and spirit to manifest what has already been promised. It's not theory. It's guided practice for those who are ready to live what has always been theirs. Now, imagine your life 6 months from today, with each of these principles pulsing within you. Imagine the doors that could open, the connections that could arise, the peace you could feel as you lie down at night, knowing that prosperity has ceased to be a battle and has become your natural state. This isn't an illusion. It is the promise of a God who does not lie, recorded in Proverbs for all who desire to live with purpose and abundance. And remember, prosperity is not a final destination. It's a continuous journey. Every decision you make today is a seed for tomorrow. Every word you speak is a brick in this construction. Every act of faith, integrity, and generosity is a step on this road that inevitably leads to the abundance that has already been declared over you. Prosperity, contrary to what many believe, is not a prize awarded to a privileged few, nor a coin tossed by chance. It is the result of a continuous alignment, a dance between spiritual principles and practical actions, a natural response from a universe created to move according to divine laws. And when we look at Proverbs, we realize we are not dealing with mere poetic words for reflection, but with life instructions, spiritual keys capable of changing entire realities. Now that you have walked this path with me, perhaps something has already ignited within you. Perhaps you realize that for a long time, you have been pushing on the wrong doors, or waiting for favor to come from the outside, when in truth, it all begins with an internal transformation. Prosperity is, first and foremost, a state of consciousness, and only then does it manifest as opportunities, relationships, resources, ideas, and favorable circumstances. It's like tuning a radio station. When the signal is misaligned, there is noise, interference, frustration. But when you find the right frequency, everything flows in a surprising way. These 5 principles from Proverbs are not distant concepts. They are daily practices, wisdom that gives you clarity and direction, diligence that keeps you steady without losing your peace, integrity that strengthens your foundations and attracts trust, generosity that opens channels of flow, and the power of your words, which is perhaps the most immediate of all, because with every sentence, you are sowing your tomorrow. And at the center of it all is that final revelation. Prosperity is not begged for. It is manifested. It is the fruit of the certainty that you already carry within you the divine authorization to live an abundant life. How many times have you felt tired of trying, prayed for change, and saw no results? How many times have you looked around and thought that God had forgotten you? It is precisely at this point that the key turns. He never forgot. He was always there. But the principles need to be activated. God acts through principles because they are just, because they maintain the order of a universe that cannot be manipulated by momentary whims. What changes your reality is the decision to live by these principles even when the result is not yet visible. And here is the beauty of it. You don't have to wait years to feel the difference. When you change the way you think, speak, and act, your environment begins to respond. Small signs start to appear. Doors that were once closed show signs of moving. People emerge bringing connections that previously seemed impossible. This is how the kingdom works. First inside, then outside. First faith, then evidence. First planting, then harvesting. And the more you ground yourself in this truth, the more natural it becomes. Prosperity ceases to be an effort and becomes a state of being. And it is in this state that your life stops revolving around petty worries and starts to gain meaning. You stop living just to pay bills and start living to fulfill a purpose. You stop measuring every decision by the fear of loss and start acting from the confidence that there is more than enough. And that, my friend, changes everything. It changes your energy. It changes your posture. It changes the kind of opportunities you attract. Because deep down, prosperity is not just about having. It's about being. Being someone who flows, who inspires, who builds, who blesses. Now, the decision is before you. You can go back to the old routine, the old patterns, the old words that block what is already yours, or you can start today to align your thoughts and actions with these principles that Proverbs gives us like a hidden treasure. It may not be comfortable at first, because change always requires leaving a familiar place. But the reward for those who persevere is immeasurable. Every act of faith you take creates space for a new level of manifestation. Every seed you plant, even without seeing the rain, prepares a field that, in due time, will flourish. And if you felt that this message spoke to you, that it touched on areas you might not even have known were dormant, then now is the time to act. Reflect on what has been said here, review the principles, and start applying them one by one. Don't try to rush, just walk with consistency. And if you want greater support on this journey, a resource that deepens these practices and helps you apply them in real life, be sure to access the link in the first pinned comment. There, you will find something that could be the missing piece of this puzzle. Before I close, I want to ask you one thing. If this message made sense to you, if it sparked something new or brought a different perspective on prosperity, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is not just a gesture to help the content reach more people, but a commitment you make to this new cycle you are about to begin. Show the universe that you are ready, that you will no longer accept a life of limitations as normal, but will choose to live what has already been released for you. Prosperity is not an indecipherable mystery. It is the path for those who dare to live according to the truth. And now you have these keys in your hands. Use them, practice them, trust in them. Because God's favor does not fail, and the abundance you seek can begin today, exactly today, to flow in your direction.